Just have a pen and paper nearby. As Carlos speak tonight, there may be things that resonate with us, or thoughts might come to mind, or I don't know, questions that may arise that you might have for Carlos after his testimony. So I just want to encourage everyone to just have a pen and paper. And even if there's just one takeaway or anything of that sort that comes to mind while Carlos shared tonight, just write it down. And then you'll be able to share it at the end of his testimony. Um, yeah. So Carlos,
Mhm.
I'll give you the floor.
Um, that's actually, I might be all over the place, so just bear with me because I get really nervous, and this is something that God's working in me. Well, I haven't even started. Okay. Um, so I was a Catholic before, and growing up, um, I was always, I guess, spiritual in a way. Um, I knew some stories of the Bible, but I didn't know everything. Um, but yeah, so um, moving forward, I okay, how can I put this? um, I was a prepper as well too. I spread because I used to always worry and I'm a protector. So my family, like I try and protect my family. I'm always um trying to, do things to make sure everyone's always safe around me. And I was following this one guy on YouTube, and he was a Catholic as well. And he started um, talking a lot more about Jesus and the Bible and stuff. And he was moving into Christianity. So that kind of really sparked something in me. But the way he was going about it too, he was putting fear, like he was talking about revelations and stuff. And so that kind of put a little bit of fear in me too. Like, so I'm like, okay, maybe I have to start reading the Bible because like I don't want to go through what everyone's going through. And so I was still prepping and stuff and just worrying and anxiety and all that. And um I'm a carpenter by trade. And I had this employee of mine that was a Christian. And he was like alive every time. And I always thought to myself, I'm like, I'd love to be like that, where no care, just always happy. And then he'd always listen to Christian music. And I'm like, I love my music. Like when it comes to dance music, every types of music, I just love music. And so when I asked him about the Christian music, I said, what is it like about the Christian music? Because I tried listening to it. I'm like, it's okay. And he was explaining to me, he goes, well, it's just, he goes, I like the other music too, but it just, for some reason, Christian music just fills me. And I didn't understand it. I'm like, okay, so I just let it be. And as we were talking, working together, he's talking about Jesus. And so it started like um, getting my curiosity going. So then I started reading the Bible. So I downloaded some Bible like books from YouTube. So they were like dramatized, and that's how uh, I wouldn't read it. I would just listen to it. And then there was one day on the job site. Oh no, so let me go back. Um, then I started listening to it in the car on the radio station on my way home in this Christian radio station in Toronto. And I forget the radio station already, but there's a few preachers there and some songs, and I was just trying to listen, trying to, just understand all this. And then as because I live up north and it's about an hour away from Toronto, as I started moving, as I started going up north, the transmission already, like, I'd lose the signal. And then, I was saying, I'm like, oh, this sucks. Like, it'd be nice. And I was just talking to God at that moment, not realizing I was talking. I'm like, it'd be nice if I can hear some more, like for that extra half hour, my drive home. And that day, and I'll never forget it, I remember getting into the town near where I live, and I seen this bumper sticker, and it said, "Life Christian Radio Life 103," like where I live in that area, like Barrie and stuff. I'm like, what? There's no way. So then I started listening to that. And at work, once in a while, I listen to um the books and just trying to understand it and all that. And then one day at work, it was 2015, and I was sitting outside just having a break, and there was this other guy who was working there, another tradesman, and he was cleaning air ducts. And we were just talking for a little bit because during that time, I don't know if you remember, they were doing the Tide Pods challenges, the kids, and some were dying and stuff. And I was just telling the guy, I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like, just this world is just upside down. And and then he said, yeah, people, they need Jesus. I'm like, yeah. I said, I'm a Catholic, but I think I'm starting to open up to something like to Christianity more. And then he just turns to me, he goes, now I know why I'm here. I'm like, what? He goes, I'm here to bless you. And I'm thinking, okay. He goes, okay, I'm gonna talk to you. So he started talking to me. And as he was talking to me, I felt like God was talking to me at that moment, because all the questions I was having through my marriage, and because my marriage is rocky, I'm just going through some stuff. And he was just it was just weird because his story was what I was going through. And basically he was just saying, like, everything's going to be fine at the end, like, just give it to God. And I left that day, like, I always had anxiety in me and stuff, but that day, like I felt light, like something, like I was just light. Like, it was an amazing feeling. And I knew, like, something had happened to me that day. A month later, I ended up going to Vegas with my wife. And this was fine because I'm like, oh man, I'm in Sin City. I should even be here. Like, I was already getting um what's the word I'm looking for? Convicted of things. And um and I remember seeing this guy holding up a sign about Jesus, come save Jesus. And I remember telling my wife and her friend, I'm like, I want to go across the street and hug him. And they're like, what? What's wrong with you? I said, I don't know. I want to go hug the guy, because he's just talking about Jesus. And um, yeah, so I'm all over it. um, and so when we got back, um, then I really started, like, wanting to know more, learn more. So, on my own, I didn't go to church or nothing, and I would talk to my employee at the time, and he would try and tell me things and try and direct me. And then I met Brian on TikTok. I went on TikTok, and when he spoke in tongues, that was the first time I heard somebody speaking in tongues. And like he moved me, like something. I'm like, what happened? Like something in me just like like I was getting like butterfly. I don't know. I can't even explain what it was. But I'm like, oh, what? I just, yeah, I contacted him after and I wanted to learn more because at the time Brian was never talked about revelation because TikTok is all about revelation. It was like the end of the world, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear this. And Brian was different, and so I reached out to him because at the time, my brother has schizophrenia, and he hears voices like bad voices to basically hurt himself, always hurting himself. Um, and so I reached out to him because he mentioned like that you might need deliverance. But that's how I met up, reached out to him, and because of my marriage, what was going on at home, and yeah, from there, um, um, then I decided to get baptized again, and I had like a lot of uh, people like telling me not to do it, and because in my family, they're just saying, well, you've already been baptized. Why are you going to get baptized again? And I was trying to explain to them the whole process of getting baptized because, and they still didn't want me to go, but I ended up going. And it was amazing. And when I came home, I remember waking up the first day. So it was the weekend. And then the Monday morning, I woke up. And the first thing I heard, and it was like, it was amazing. It just said love conquers all. I'm like, what? And just again, love conquers all. So that was like the first time that I really heard him like that. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Because a lot of times I disrespected my wife, had a bad temper. So I started trying more love. And I'm still doing it, but it's been tough. Um, I go, I have my ups and downs in my walk because of the battle I go through. But like, I'm never going to give up. I'm always pushing through. And, like that love conquers all always comes to my head. And I'm gonna share something that I wasn't sure I wanted to share, but it was just a way of how God put an image on me and talked to me, and that changed me a bit. Well, changed me, not a bit, but it did change me. But there was an incident where I had an altercation with my wife, and I was humble through this, and she just kept going on and on. And then I kind of lost it. And she, at that moment of anger, she ended up spitting on my face. And I had a glass of wine in my hand. I just smashed on the ground. And I was really upset because that was, for me, that was like really disgraceful. Like, you might as well shot me. Because so the next day, because I was so mad, and I'm like, I'll never forgive this. Like, there's no way. And my prides came back, and I was like, oh man. And so a good friend of mine that lives close to me, and I was just telling him what was happening, and at the same time, I'm telling him the story, the image of Jesus carrying the cross and people spitting on him. And I didn't even finish telling him because just boom. And I'm like, okay. And he forgave them. And I went home and I asked for her, and I told him, I forgive you for what you did. And I'm sorry. But so God's humbling me even more. Like, I've changed a lot. There's a lot of things that Jesus took away from me. I had porn addiction, uh, did drugs once in a while, extremely prideful before. Portuguese are known to be prideful. It's just, yeah, it's in our blood for some reason. But that's once in a while, like, it still comes, but it's like I feel this is what God's trying to deal with me right now too. Is I have to stop getting in the last word. And I had a conversation with my sister Vanya one time, and I remember her telling me, um, silence, to be silent, and it's been working. And um, and God's spoken to me a bunch of times after the baptism. It's been good. I get nuggets here and there from him. I have a hard time hearing from him because I'm too much inside my head. But yeah, I'm just thankful for where I am now. Because even though I go through so much sometimes, not every time, I, you know, I still have, he gives me this peace. And yeah, still waiting to see what his plan is for me. But, I can share you something just recently. So at work, which was last week, um, I was praying in the morning after I prayed and listened to worship music. I was driving to work, and then I asked God, I asked Jesus, I said, is there anything you want to say to me? Like, is there a scripture that I can have that'll just, that'll help me through the whole day just to be happy? And so I paused and just silence and driving, for a good 10 minutes, just in silence, trying to hear him. And I didn't hear from him. I'm like, okay, it's okay. And so 2 hours later, I'm hearing Tyrello on a song. And and what I heard just filled my heart. Like I was just so much joy that day. It's just a little nugget. So, and I'll let you guys know. So Tyrello, she was saying um Barabbas when um both Jesus and Barabbas were up there, and everybody was asking for Barabbas to be freed. Do you guys know what Barabbas means in Hebrew? It's gonna blow your mind. So Bar means son and Abba means father. So when they wanted Barabbas, they wanted the son of the father. And Barabbas, and then Xavier, because he was working with me, he mentioned that Barabbas, his first name was Jesus too. So both, was Jesus, son of the father. It was just cool. Yeah, just kind of blew my mind. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Just think when this is all over, is it's like whatever God has planned for me is it's definitely for His glory. Because when this is all over, this is my story will definitely be to glorify Him. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. There's other things I want like maybe to say, but I'm all over the map.
Well, if you want to say anything more, we'd have a little bit of time. So, but you don't have to. Just
Yeah,
don't feel like you're rushed.
no, I know. I know the drill. I just trying to get even like my parents saved just the other day too. Just trying to, speak Jesus into them, and just religion is so like they're swallowed by it, and just sucks.
Mm.
But yeah, my brother, yeah, I can't be around him right now too. I guess the light in me bothers him because what's in him. That's
Mm.
tough. That's tough because every time we have a function, he snaps. And then my kids see it. And I don't want him to see it. It's just tough. I'm just waiting on God to do.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. If anything else comes up, I'll mention it. Sorry. This was hard for me. I'm not a person to speak a lot. I have a hard time expressing my feelings. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing, Carlos. Were you gonna say something else?
No, I was just gonna say one day from where you guys I won't be able to stop talking, but that day comes. Let's see.
That took a
Um,
lot of courage, Carlos. I really appreciate your story.
Thank you.
yeah, I wanted to just open the floor because if anyone had any questions, I think it'd be good if anyone had any questions for Carlos, we wanted to give him the opportunity to open up more on some stuff if he wants to. Uh,
Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
you said that when you were younger, because you grew up Catholic, just like I did.
Mm-hmm.
And you said when you were younger, you always like spiritual. And I feel like I can relate to that because I was too, like I was spiritual. Like I learned, but not enough from the Catholic faith, right? I was searching, I was asking questions, but just not getting what I needed. Um, Now, what was it that made you like open your eyes to Christianity? Was it the videos from that guy or was it something else?
In yeah, it was like fear at first with
Mm,
revelations,
yeah,
and then the passage in Matthew, I think it's 7:20 or 20 or so, I'm not sure, where Lord, I did this in your name and I did this, and
yeah.
so that kind of like pushed me more. Like I've always like in the past, I've always had that connection with God, but not like it was very faint. Like
Mm,
I remember one time I was in a relationship and I just had a funny feeling, and I remember being in the washroom and I had like a wad of change in my pocket, like coin nickels and dimes, and I was just like, God, if I shouldn't be here, if I'm gonna reach into my pocket and if I pull out $4.02, then I'll leave. If I pull out, you know, $2 and something, then I'll stay. And sure enough, I pulled out $4.02. I'm like, okay, thanks for answering me. Yeah, there's been like a lot of little things like that throughout my life. Like there was one point, now things are coming to mind, but there was one point, um, I should have been in jail. Um, but yeah, he's intervened a lot in my life.
mm. You know, you saying that is funny because like I feel like once we get to open our eyes more, we see where he was in the past,
It's so
all
true.
the times in the past, and we're just like, wow, wait, you were there. You were
mhm.
there.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But yeah, your story really touched me because I can relate to a lot of stuff. Um, it was really awesome. I loved it. Um, and you did really well. You
Hmm.
did really well. That
Okay.
was really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you said you were nervous, but you didn't really seem nervous to me. You took your time. You went at your own pace.
Oh man, if I could put you in my stomach, then ah,
Does anyone else have
mm.
any questions for Carlos? Oh, Ron. Yeah, I forgot. I saw that you raised your hand. You gotta unmute yourself.
Oh,
Oh,
you
no,
just muted yourself.
oh, you're good. There you go.
They keep doing that. Oh, anyways, thank you. Yes, Carlos, really just wow, because you know we ask our Father so many things, and sometimes it might be an answer all at once, and sometimes it might take a bit of time. And the, I don't know what I did earlier, if it was a prayer or what, but um, I was gonna say that Helen doesn't even know this at the moment, but I haven't seen my daughter well since the age of 12, and she's now 18. And due to the grace of God and his answers, she might be curious, and he does answer. What a wonderful, wonderful reminder that you just thank you for that. Just
Mm.
thank you. Just wow. I needed that. Thank you.
Thanks,
Carlos,
Ron.
were you confirmed? Sorry.
Right?
Were you confirmed growing up, or
Yeah,
so
I
this
did
would have been
everything.
your
I
third?
even sang to the Pope. I met Mother Teresa. She touched my head. I did everything.
Sometimes I wonder too if I should get, like rebaptized.
Um, yeah,
I was confirmed too.
yeah,
I can relate to that.
yeah.
Yeah, because I've done that, like the baptism, the confirmation, but even as a teenager, I don't know if you totally understand. Like I don't know if I was just feeling like, oh, everybody else in my class is doing it, and my parents expect it.
Well, they were
So,
saying
but as
you
an
like with the
Mhm.
Catholics, you have to do it in order to get married, right? If you're gonna
Yes,
be in the
yes.
Catholic Church. So that's the only reason why I did it. But I mean, being there, they never told us anything. Like oh, man, like I'm telling my parents and like learned so much like that. I've never even because I was going to catechism school. I was going even out always been in Catholic school, but even in Catholic
Yeah.
school, like nothing.
They
And I
don't,
didn't
they
even
just sort
know,
of the surface, right? Like it's just,
yeah, like I didn't even know about speaking tongues. I didn't know about um like a lot of stuff, a lot of stories. Like I found out about Job. When I read Job, I'm like, oh wow, like this this is me almost, man. It's like, oh, and like that story helped me a lot, helped me so much. Um, but yeah, it's been great. It's been the journey has been amazing so far. Just learning more and more, and I get like these little nuggets here and there, and it's awesome. Yeah,
Well, thanks, Helen. Thanks, Ron.
I get
Uh,
baptized.
sorry?
no, I think
No,
I'm
I was
gonna
just
do
saying
it.
that. Yeah,
Well, I just didn't think that they would agree to do it since I've already been confirmed, but maybe I'll just get Brian to.
yeah,
Does he do that or?
yeah, yeah. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you baptized me, Xavier.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna ask him to do me, like just
Hmm.
to, because you're so
Yeah.
right. Like I didn't even know about like King David, like the whole story. Like I knew
Mm.
Jesus came from the line of King David, but never knew, or the judges,
Yeah.
just or just so many of the other stories, even some of it in that like Genesis. I missed some of that. Like they don't teach you that stuff and how it relates, right?
Mm.
So it's amazing.
And God,
Xavier.
he's also showed me too, because during this walk, sometimes our flesh gives in, and I remember one time I calling Brian because I had this passage in my head, and like it was Jude. I forget what it was, but it was not good. And it was basically about abusing his grace. And I'm like, oh boy. And I remember calling Brian. I'm like, Brian, I think God's mad at me. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm gonna be mad at you. I'm like, I think he's mad. Yeah. All right, save me.
Hi everyone. I've known Carlos since we were small because his dad's my godfather in the Catholic world. Uh,
Hmm.
the Carlos is a very humble guy. I mean, what he shared is just a small percentage of what he's actually really, really going through. Someday when he maybe he'll share more, but he's a humble guy. He's gone through a lot and he's still going through a lot. So I just, for those who don't know him, I just want to put a little bit more light on him. He's you know, you don't have a shirt, he'll give you a shirt off his back kind of guy. So, he's going through a lot, and he's in my prayers. So I just wanted to shine a little bit more light on him because he's not, he's just a quiet guy and humble guy. So not many people know where he's coming from, but just want to share that about him.
Thanks, brother. Love you, man.
Yeah, whatever. I love you more.
Uh,
DJ, did you have your hand up?
uh, yeah. Carlos, thank you for sharing tonight. I think one thing that had stood out to me was when you had mentioned that you had listened to, I think, someone's story,
Mhm.
and it was exactly what you were going through.
Mhm.
And that just kind of like brought back to remembrance for me. Because I remember like before I gave my life to Christ, like it's so easy to think that you're the only person going through something.
So true. Yeah.
Right, until you meet someone that's, been through what you've been through.
Mhm.
And I think like what's so amazing is that I think sometimes we really downplay the power of a testimony, just because that person's testimony and what I wrote down here, like God will build faith in the hearts who hear. And like when you heard that person's testimony, you heard.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just amazing that, like we have the power to allow others to believe in God through our testimony.
Mhm.
I'm so excited for you because if his testimony got you to get on board with God, I can only imagine like when you're more comfortable sharing your testimony, when you've really fine-tuned and you're able to share it another time, like I'm so amped to see all the seeds that be planted in others
Mhm.
and the faith that will grow in others. So yeah, I just want to say like that's amazing. And um
Like what he was saying too, like one thing, and it's true. The enemy will use the closest ones to you.
mm,
So true. It really is. Like he even used my son. And my son, I remember, and he was telling me this because he had his daughter shame him as well. And I remember my son making fun of me reading the Bible. When then a month later, he was the one reading the Bible afterwards. So I knew it wasn't my son. I knew I'm like, so like he kind of opened up my eyes to what the enemy
the
looked like,
lies.
yeah, his lies, and like he's just saying, be prepared.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's ongoing, but it's all good. God's with me.
So I do have a question though.
Mhm. Might
Is
have
that
an
okay?
Yeah, I might have an answer.
Hello? Did we
Yeah.
lose him?
No,
No, he's here.
I said I might have an answer. Maybe it's
Oh, it's my internet.
Jonas, pay the bill.
My question was, uh, what kept you going, like through the tough times of when you were trying to build up your faith with God? Like, what kept you going?
Knowing like that he has better plans for me.
Yeah.
That no matter what I go through now, he has something better for me. Like, so I always like just my faith in it, like knowing that everything's gonna work out. And he has just better things for me. Like even now, like he and I, sorry, as we're talking, I'm kind of going back to telling a little bit more about, but I'm also I'm losing a lot of my friends. Close friends, like you guys are in my family, so it's different, but old friends, right? It's just interesting how that's happening, and everyone's thinking I'm weird now. Like, yeah, it's just, and it's like, yeah, and yeah, it's just my faith and knowing everything will work out. And and I keep praying for my brother, and I know God's just gonna give me that miracle with him to glorify his name through my brother. And I'll never stop praying. And yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Takeaways?
Carlos,
Yeah.
thank you for your story. I could really hear a lot in there, and when you talked about Jesus carrying the cross and people spit on him,
Mm-hmm.
um, and he still forgave. Um, it put a heavy reminder on me because I feel a lot emotionally slapped, and I've been holding a lot of anger. And I want to thank you for that. Um, I did hear that you had a hard time hearing God because there's so much inside your head.
Yeah.
Um, how do you get through that? And are there scriptures that you read? Do you meditate? Do you have any reprieve of that today?
Um, I don't. That's one thing I have to start doing is meditating more. Um, I think before I'd always turn to social media. Like he would talk to me through that, or even through other people. Um, but now, like he's not talking to me through, so he really wants me to like hear him. And you mentioning that about meditating on words, I have to start doing that. I've never been like a scholar myself. Like I didn't finish high school, so school for me was just like even writing. Like actually, like I'm impressed with myself because I have this it's all written with all kinds of stuff, and it's just not like me. In school, I've never written anything in school. I was just I didn't care much about school, and I wish I did now, but yeah, I'm just to answer your question, I just kind of like wait and listen. Sometimes I'll hear them. There was one time I was working on a job site and I was just looking at the water and I was just quiet, and then I just heard, "Come sit with me." I'm like, okay. But I was sitting there and didn't hear nothing else, but it was just I felt like peace. Yeah, I don't I hope that answers your question. I'm working on it still to find
Thank
out
you.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Paul,
Donna.
Paul raised his hand, or Donna. I wasn't sure. I saw Paul, so I said Paul.
Oh, sorry, I barely heard it. It's okay. My iPad died, so we're using his.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry if I.
There's a few things that I heard, and this might answer Cheryl's question too, but one thing that I heard you say, Carlos, is I'll never give up. I'll keep pushing through
Mhm.
despite how you're feeling. And I think it's that resolve, knowing that, hey, I know when you say I'm never giving up and I'm pushing through, it's the anticipation of upcoming trials and resolving to get through them. And
Mhm.
that reminds me of Daniel, Meshach, and his three friends, right? They resolved not to eat from the king's table. They knew where their boundaries were at. They knew the upcoming things that were ahead of them. And they resolved within themselves that they were going to do things for God no matter what was ahead of them. And then the rest of the story through there, you see the trials they went through, the lion's den, they went through trial by fire, basically. And then the three main things that I noticed that you talked about, and you said this over and over and over again, was wanting to know more and understanding. Wanting to know more and understanding. And that's all we have to be, is hungry. That's that, just hungry and thirsty. And the scripture that comes to mind is, if you seek me, you will find me.
Mm.
And then you said over and over again, love conquers all. And I feel like that's for you. I feel like you're wrestling God, and he's going to win because he's showing you his love and who he is. And then, yeah. And then what I'm hearing too, you are hearing from him more than you know, because of the conviction you feel, like you talked about it in Vegas.
Mhm.
And in speaking to him, and then noticing that your friends are starting to fall off, but it's the conviction. That's him speaking to you. And I believe because of that, what your trial you're going through is he's creating a dependence upon him.
Yeah.
And one thing you said is, I'm thankful for where I am at and the peace that he continuously gives you. And I see him all through your whole testimony. You testified of God, you testified of his mercy and his goodness, even in our trials, even in the middle of the trial that you're in right now. You're testifying of how good and merciful he is, and
Mhm.
how he seeks us through, even though we go through our ups and downs. like Job, you mentioned Job, you could see his emotional turmoil. I mean, one day he's up, one day he's down, but one thing that never changed was his integrity.
Yeah.
And I just, that's what I saw in this whole thing, Carlitos. And yeah, I see God all over it.
Thank you.
And I'm
Yeah.
so grateful you shared. And it was very organized. You weren't scattered at all.
And I thought you know, I one day I'll say more, but yeah, I just didn't want to say too much.
Right.
Like the thing is, I don't want to paint a bad picture about my wife.
Right.
You know,
You
I know
handled
it's not her, it's what's in her,
Yeah.
yeah.
You handled that so gracefully. There's family members that I don't talk about because I don't. Here's the deal, like an old church that I went to, they would talk about their family members.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, what's the line between gossip and just trying to share? And I remembered one day I got so mad. I walked in and I said, listen, I'm not going to share with you all the things that my father's done to me because number one, if he steps into a church, I know God touched him because he will not set foot in a church just because of gossip.
Yeah.
And if I were to talk to you about my dad, the things that he had done, that's the first thing you're going to think about when he walks through that door. When he walks through that door, I want people to view him as born again and as the son of God. So, I mean, here, there's no gossip here, but we do need to help each other get through. But Carlitos, you did it right. He handled it with wisdom and grace.
Thank you.
And we're here for you, man. We know
Oh,
you're
I couldn't do it
going through
without
a
you
lot.
guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't do it. There was just recently I hit like poof, like
Yeah.
rock bottom, and it was a sermon by David Wilkerson that kind of lifted me back up. And it's like God, it's like the timing, like God just knows, man. Like you just can't get away. It just, I really needed the help. I was ready to like just like I was at a point I would even want to leave like the FM just for a while, just kind of like I just wanted to be alone. I didn't want nobody around me. I didn't want nothing. I just wanted to be alone. But yeah, that changed quickly. Yeah.
You got it, Carlitos.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
Paul wants to say something.
So Carlos, I can remember we had some conversations. It had to be, it seems like a year ago,
Mhm.
but I'm just amazed at what God has done with you and so proud of you of where you've come from and where you are right now.
Thank you.
I'm just blown away. I mean, I can see God all through you.
Mhm.
I don't see it, but I think I'm a mess sometimes. I'm like, oh, when am I gonna smarten up?
No, I just want to encourage you and keep doing what you're doing.
I saw a post, something along the lines of the Passover. It wasn't whether you were good or bad, it was whether you had the blood over the doorposts.
Hmm.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Carlos, King David,
Good.
every time he'd screw up, he'd turn his heart back to God, and that's where I see you. You're like, all right, I messed up. All right, God, what can we do to fix this?
Mhm. Yeah. I know, like I sometimes I feel like break, but there's something that it's something I need to pray about more too, and ask him what is exactly like what is hindering what I need to break, like in because I think it's something in me, and I'm trying to pinpoint it, because I have so much things in my head going on, I can't like.
After you're through the trial, you'll know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, when it's through. Okay, we're all set.
I've told Carlos that he has to start to see himself through other people's eyes. You know, to really see what people see in him, because he doesn't give himself enough credit. You know, sometimes we have some really deep conversations, and then sometimes it's like, I'm afraid to share because I don't know how I'm going to sound. Like, just talk to them like you talk to me. you know, he doesn't give himself enough credit, but that's something that he has to work on, and God really has to really touch him on that. So
like
it's a process. It's something that he has to work on.
Yeah, it's years like growing up. Me and my brother, we were the ones like everybody looked at us. We're going nowhere. We're nobodies. And then what I'm going through now, same thing. So I get a lot of like negative in the past and now. So that's why like in high school I was fine. Like I mean I used to do film production and I was really good at it. And I was like a TV host in front of the whole school. Like I'd recorded before, so it's camera. I wasn't in front of everybody that hard, but and it's like it. And I asked God, like, what happened? I don't know what happened. Something happened. I closed up somehow. I don't know. I'm just trying to find myself again. I'll get there.
Sort of had the same revelation. The other day I said to myself, I finally know my name.
Amen.
Anyone else have any questions or thoughts, comments on Carlos' testimony for tonight?
Carlos, one more question.
Oh, I thought I was almost off the hook.
No,
Just
this is
kidding.
an easy one. Do you feel lighter?
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, from before, like I kid you not, guys. Like I was ready to go off. I didn't want to do this.
You know
I
what?
didn't. I was like, oh, man.
Before the meeting, your shoulders were like touching your face, and now you're just so relaxed. And like you could just see the weight just came right off of you. You did so good. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
You didn't seem nervous at all to me. I'm just probably bad.
Yeah. You're gonna notice the difference down the road when I really like get comfortable. Yeah.
Like over fish and chips.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've told Carlos many times, and pardon my French, but sometimes he just has verbal diarrhea. You can't stop him.
Yeah.
That's the Carlos I want everybody to know. He'll get there.
Yeah, in due time.
Funny, Paul said you have on a lifeguard shirt.
Yeah, it says my lifeguard walks on water. Yeah, I wear this at work. Trying to stir conversation.
Where do you get one?
This one I got online, Amazon, or I forget the name. Caruso brand is called Caruso. Yeah, Kerusso. Yeah. If you just go, they have it comes from the States, but I have a few. My wife hates them, but
I'd love to be able to say, hey, what are you looking at? That's
I
I
just
just seen my lifeguard. I didn't see the Matthew part there. You went like this, right? Now I can
Yeah.
see it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have to unblur the camera. Hold on.
I got to get one.
No. You see it? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Yes.
Yeah. But it's just funny when you see people's faces, they look at it, they read it, and then they're like, okay.
Yeah, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? Where are we at? I want to thank you, Carlos. You know, because my takeaway on this was like God's speed, and it's his speed.
Mm.
Sometimes you get that answer all at once, and sometimes you're like, we're waiting, trying to be patient.
Mhm.
Really, really good. I got so much out of that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Going once, one more time. Does anyone who haven't spoken have any questions or anything else they'd like to say to Carlos?
He has left the building. Too late, Janice. Took too long.
Carlos probably like, DJ, could you just end?
No, I'm only kidding. I'm kidding. I love being with you guys. I love hearing everybody.
Don't worry, Carlos. It's not a question, just a comment.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing. Um, yeah, I don't really have a question for you more, or just an observation. And just wanted to say I love how to kind of getting to know you over these couple of years. That I've known you, like to see the changes in your life,
Mhm.
you know, just it's just so amazing to see, because I know sometimes we speak and everything can seem like it's just going worse and worse, but just the changes that are happening that you don't see is so amazing. Like coming to this point in your life, where like God is changing your character, like areas that you thought were so like, you testifying to, that you struggled in these areas, but now just seeing a whole new version of you is so amazing to see. Like, even when we talk, like I notice it, um, just how calm, how patient, how humble, how caring, everything that you are. But though you may not see yourself like that sometimes, it's just so amazing to see it for myself. I think you're probably one of the most nicest persons I ever met in my life thus far. Like just your heart, your compassion for people, and always doing the right thing. And that's a testament to itself. And that's something you should be proud of, and I'm testifying to the fact that I see the changes in your life. And, just the conversations and, just how far you've come, you've had so many chances to bow out, but you've always persisted. You always pushed through. You always kept pushing forward and kept, taking it one step, you know. And I know it's been hard, but I just wanted to testify that I see it. And I'm proud of you as a brother and as a friend. And I appreciate the impact that you've had on me, just being yourself, just being who you are, just pushing me to always kind of question myself and just be like, how can I be more like Carlos? Not joking. But just to
There only could be one.
see, yeah, just to see
Thanks, brother.
how you've come so far. So I just wanted to say that I'm really proud of what God is doing in your life. It's a testimony in itself.
Mm.
And I really appreciate to have you as a brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Love you.
You too, brother. And now for my question. Nah, just joking.
Yeah. It's okay.
Okay. Anyone else? No. Well, I want to say thank you. Yeah, who's gonna
No,
say
I
something?
just want to say thanks also to Cheryl. That question that she had a good question, and it got me thinking things I should be doing too. So thank you, Cheryl.
Great question. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I do have a question, Carlos. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But it is a productive one, though, I promise. So, what I don't know if you probably answered it already, but what is one change that you've seen in yourself from, I don't know, from the time I guess you entered DFM till now?
Pride.
Like, what's one positive or one change that you can testify to that you can share with us as
Pride, getting rid of the pride. A lot of it. Before I was really prideful. And that and just being even more humble than I am. Just yeah, patience. Like he's still working in me. Like I have, obviously we all have work. I mean, we all have like things to be worked on, and like at work, as I'm working, when things don't go right, I get angry, and I'm trying to control that. But yeah, but pride was the big one. Pride and trying to get the last word. Yeah, change a lot.
yeah. Yeah, I think I remember we were talking about like sometimes the experience is the answered prayer. And like sometimes everything we're going through is the very manifestation of that.
Mm.
Or the lessons that we were praying for God to do is now the prayer is being answered. But obviously we don't like the process, but it's the answered prayer.
Yeah, it's like when I tell people now, when they want to follow Christ and Jesus, like it's not easy. I'm not gonna tell you it's all fun and games. No, not easy, but it's worth it. It's almost you have a peace that can't even explain.
Yeah, you're right. Because I remember what Miles Monroe said: "Be careful what you pray for."
Yeah. Yeah.
Get what you ask for.
Yeah.
Nick?
Hey, Carlos.
Mm.
Thanks you so much. So good to hear you talk so much. I love it.
Yeah, seriously.
I just did have one question. I want to know, how did your view of God change as you came out of Catholicism and then into this place of, searching him? And I just want to know, like, do you have anything to say about what that transition was like?
Um, it the transition is like that I really see that he's alive now. Like before, it was just like, the yeah. Like you think God, okay, like and he's up there and stuff, and we're gonna be judged and stuff, but like reading the Bible and hearing everyone and listening to sermons and stuff, like just he's alive. And that's what really, and then also with the Holy Spirit, like how important it is to have that relationship with him as well. So
Thanks.
yeah. Good question. That's it.
Anyone else? Sorry to do this to you, Carlos.
Oh, that's okay. No.
Okay. Well, I guess if there isn't any more comments or thoughts or any questions, if you have to leave, you can definitely hop off. Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing tonight, Carlos.
Okay, it was good. Thank you for
What?
being here. Everyone that's here and listening. At first when I was on Facebook, I didn't see no one posting nothing. I'm like, good. A lot of people are gonna come. And then I start getting like these notifications. Oh. And then you guys are like, yeah, come up for Carlos. I'm like, oh boy.
For Carlos.
We aren't gonna let you off the hook.
Yeah. But yeah.
Kind of
It
on that.
was good though. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good night, Sheila. It's nice seeing you again.
Yeah. I had another nugget. Maybe you guys heard. Let's see. I wrote it down. See, I'm writing things down now. With age, you start forgetting things. So it's like from the drinking of the cup, when Jesus okay, I'll put down what I wrote. It says what Jesus meant when he offered the disciples to drink from his cup. Jesus was with the 12 disciples for the Last Supper before he suffered. At one point, Jesus extends his cup to the disciples, asking them to drink from all of it. At first glance, he looks like it's a simple toast. At first glance, it looks like it's a simple toast. However, in Jewish culture, this act has more significance. According to Jewish tradition, when a groom proposes to potential bride, the groom will offer a cup for the bride to drink. If the bride doesn't drink it, then the proposal to get married is rejected. So if the bride does drink it, it means the proposal to get married is accepted. Once accepted, the groom and bride then separate for a time. He goes to his father's house to build and prepare a place for them to live. When it's ready, the groom returns to his bride so they can live together. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. It's
That's
crazy how
awesome.
it parallels.
I was like, that blew my mind. That's what Jesus did.
Yeah.
He's getting our place ready for. Yeah.
Yeah, I think growing up in church, until Brian told us, like, I think, there was always telling us, oh, your mansion's being built. and your
But so it's not true. There's no mansions.
your Lamborghini is waiting for you. So, no, like legit though. I really believe that going in church, like, oh, your mansions and is being built for you according to
Mhm.
the deeds that you're doing on earth. Like, oh, like you did this, you're gonna get a big mansion. So I remember like thinking this way, like, oh man, like heaven's gonna be sweet, man. I'm gonna go and it's gonna be this nice mega house waiting for me. And it's just so interesting, like how that scripture, places of dwelling,
Mhm.
it doesn't say like a house or anything, because reading the Old Testament, God was telling these guys there's no house you could build from your